Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Going to keep this intro pretty short because I just want to go and get in and stuck in training. But this is like the last week of this growth phase before we go into a clearance phase for 4 weeks, like a clearance health phase. So where we get bloods done and make sure health markers are all in a good place before we start prep. So that lasts for 4 weeks. So this is our kind of last week. Well, it's Thursday today. So we've got 3 training sessions left. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Delts and arms tomorrow, and then legs on Saturday. Rest Sunday, and then we start on Monday, the clearance phase. So nothing really changes. I think we're kind of going to start looking at body composition a bit more next week, and start kind of very slowly getting rid of fat. So we've got a bit of a head start on prep. Prep's probably going to last around 16 weeks. Obviously with the self phase, it takes us up to about 20 weeks. So for me, prep starts next week, realistically in my mindset. So this is the last week where we're kind of holding / pushing. Weight this morning was 127.3, I think. So I kind of want to probably get up to about 128 by the end of the week, and then we'll start the clearance phase. So we're going to get stuck in today. I'm going to take you through a whole Delta and arm session, show you what with that, take you through all the movements, probably do another voiceover like the last session, which I thought was good, and just in terms of content, get the last bit of training footage done before we start prep really. Obviously I'll keep you updated with training and how that's going during this next phases, but we're going to get stuck in today. And that's kind of all the updates I've got really. It's just a case of really just rinse and repeat now. Cardio is still 2 sessions, 20 minutes. And then steps are very average, 7,500, which they've been since I can remember. This growth phase stayed very consistent. Same with cardio. It's just been in there just for keeping us nice and healthy, keep some cardiovascular in there, keep body composition tight, stop us from putting on unnecessary fat, which we've definitely done. So very happy with that. But yeah, we'll get into today's session, take you through, give you as much insight as I can on the voiceover, and we'll take it from there.
So starting with our leaning dumbbell lateral raises, worked up to, I think that's 20 kilo, 3 sets on here, about 14, well the rep range is 12 to 14 on these, or 12 to 15. My aim to progress on this was 14, so we hit that. As you can see, leaning slightly into it just to isolate the lateral head a bit more, put more tension on instead of using my lower back and back to kind of raise it up and traps and everything. So trying my best to stay lens over a bit on this. Our first press of the session, so pretty much our main compound, the dead stop Smith shoulder press. I probably much prefer doing dead stop at the moment, just because it takes a lot of momentum out of when I used to do just like the free bar without the dead stop shoulder press on the Smith. Elbows used to flare up slightly when I used to do it without a dead stop, and now I can kind of stop, reset, and I feel like I get more engagement out of the delts doing it this way as well, because I'm solely just pressing out of delts instead of probably what I was doing is bringing the chest into it too much, because I was kind of not bouncing out the hole, but you know, on the last 2 reps or so you are kind of bringing different body parts into the set to finish it. Our second press of the session, again a compound movement, plate loaded shoulder press, using a different grip on this, so using a neutral grip instead of the grip I had before, just to switch it up a bit and hit different parts of the delts. So for me this hits, obviously they both hit like front delt This is more pronounced on the front delt with this one, I feel. So 2 sets on this, 2 top sets and 1 back off. I think this is my first top set on this. Just trying to squeeze on every single rep and make the most out of it, control negative. Our only chest press of the session. So we do chest and abs on Monday, where I have 1 shoulder movement, and then delts and arms on Thursday, where I have 1 chest movement in, just to increase a bit of frequency to training the muscle, instead of just training once a week, hitting it pretty much twice a week. So this is my only chest movement for today's session. Trying to make the most out of the load I'm using as well. So I think rep ranges were 10 to 12 on this, 2 sets again, top set, with 1 back off. Just trying to prolong the set for as long as possible, and really trying to control the negative and get a good stretch on that chest, because I know it's my only chest movement, so I want to make sure it's given some respect. Onto accessories, the incline cuffed lateral raise. I've been doing this for probably the last 2 years, on and off. It's pretty consistent in my training on a delt day. I feel like this can isolate the delts very, very well, just because you're obviously it's back supported instead of chest supported, but there's no form of swing on this. You can't really cheat this movement in any way. The only way you're going to lift the cuffs up is with the delts. There's not really anything else that can, as long as you keep your arms in a good place and you're not cheating. So rear delt movement to finish. So after all the pressing, go into our rear delts. Delts are pretty much fried by now, so these are pretty tough. Just 3 straight sets on here, 10 to 15 I think. And yeah, just going for 3 sets on here, just trying to burn out and finish good on shoulders. Then we move into some arm work. There was a tricep movement in here, but I forgot to film it. It was just a single arm machine tricep extension, pretty much the opposite of what the preacher curl is. But here, preacher curl single arm, probably my favourite bicep movement, using the fat grips on here as well, just again to isolate the bicep even more, take a bit of tension off the forearm. I think it's with my back off set of about 12 to 15 reps. Just trying to fill the bicep with as much blood as possible and get the most out of the movement, because it's my only bicep movement for that day. I do have arms the next day, so I'm not trying to kind of really attack them on here. Just trying to build up some blood in there and get a good pump, really.
So that's a very good session actually in terms of progression. Progressed on pretty much every movement today by like 1 or 2 reps. Some even like 3 or 4, which is a bit mad. Strength's a bit all over the place at the moment, in a good way as well. So confuses me how I can come in some days and out rep my set by like 3 or 4 reps on tops. Like, don't really know how that happens, but obviously I'm taking sets to where I want to take them. I've got a number in my head. If there's more reps, then I'm always going to take it there. But it's just a bit confusing to me, to why my strength kind of is doing that at the moment. But again, not a bad thing. Progressing a set by 3 or 4 reps is really good. So trying to stay in that position right now. I know it's obviously going to slow down at some point, but really good place at the moment. Things are ticking over nicely. Fullness was really good today. Pump was really good. Intra workout at the moment, same as I said last week, 100 gram of carbs. So that just helps me hold that throughout the session, hold that fullness throughout the session, and energy as well. I think today was like a 2-hour session, which is pretty standard, pretty average session for me. I try and hold it around that time. Leg day goes over a bit more just because of the recovery needed between sets. Obviously being heavier now, lower back pumps do start to occur. today wasn't too bad with lower back bumps, didn't really get much, but obviously it was an upper body day, so didn't really have to use my lower back at all. But yeah, as you saw, it's quite a lot of exercises put into today's session. A lot of pressing, 3 pressing movements, which is quite a lot if you think about how many times you're going to failure. So we probably went on those sets altogether, working sets, including top set and back offs. Looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 working sets of pressing. So that's quite a lot. So going to failure 7 times for pressing movements, and then obviously your accessory movements. We've got two lateral movements, a rear delt movement, and then a bicep and a tricep movement. So quite a lot of work in today's session, which I definitely feel. But you know, my aim is to kind of leave on the last movement with as much energy as I brought to my first movement. So, which we did, which I try and keep up throughout the whole session. Just give 100% to every single set, and that's all I can really do, really. Making sure form's staying tight, making sure I'm not cheating reps, making sure that I'm progressing properly and in the right way. So yeah, overall, happy with today. We're going to go and do half an hour on the treadmill now, just to get some steps ticked off. Cardio, I did a cardio session on Monday. I'm going to do one on Sunday as well. Because at the moment, my rest days, obviously in prep, when we were in prep on rest days, I used to come in and do cardio, so I'd be in the gym every single day, and that for me was really good because I'm a creature of habit. I love my routine, and doing the same thing every single day is just what is good for me, and I just thrive off that. So when a day comes around where I'm not doing certain things at the same time, it kind of gives me a bit of anxiety, and I don't really like it, and I try to avoid it as much as possible. But so going into the off season, and at the start of the off season, my recovery I was finding it hard to keep up with my recovery. I was finding it hard to kind of recover from the sessions, because obviously when food goes back in, training starts to go in that way, strength starts to go in that way as well. Obviously you get your water back, your sodium back, pumps and fullness and everything, and obviously through the whole prep period, fatigue was probably building up through that, and obviously through that time for the last few weeks of prep, adrenaline started to build up as well. So you're going to have a drop off at some point, and I think I did probably week 1 or 2 probably week 1 or 2 post show, which is where I kind of dropped off, and fatigue was pretty high. So I had to kind of take a step back and look at my recovery. I was still going in, doing cardio on Wednesdays and Sundays, which were my rest days. Luke then told me to pull back and just put my cardio sessions on different days, on training days, and have my rest days from training actually resting and not turning up to the gym in the morning, which was hard for me to kind of accept at the start, because obviously my routine, and I hate kind of going out of that. You know, because I like to stay productive, I like to get up and actually do something. And obviously with going down that route of staying at home on rest days and kind of getting up a bit later, because obviously I'm just trying to build up some recovery. I'm normally like I get up at 4:30 in the morning, I prep my meals, I have a coffee, and then get to the gym for 6. That's kind of my morning, and I like to do that, and it's productive, and it's kind of gearing me up for the session. If I just get up and say I have to do like some steps, it's not really enough for me to kind of get up and be productive. So I found it hard at the start, and I'm actually finding it quite hard now. There was a portion in the off season where it was good. It was good for recovery, and it was good for my mindset, and it was good to kind of have that rest day as an actual rest day and not go to the gym. But now I'm finding myself not being, I don't know what the word is, my productivity just feels like it's going down on my rest days. As I get up, I make my meals, I chill around a bit, I do a bit of work, do a bit of emails, and then might go and do some steps. And it's just not very militant, and I like the militant hour by hour timed things on my day. And that rest day, well, the Wednesdays and Sundays are rest days, just needs to change a bit. So I'm going to get back into the routine of coming to the gym on rest days. I feel like my recovery's been better because I've been taking naps post-workout. I have like an hour or two nap post-workout pretty much every day, which is something I've added in, which is something I've definitely felt an improvement on, and something I'll try and keep into going into prep, because I know last year when we were in prep I definitely needed that kind of rest post-workout. Obviously once adrenaline comes down you crash a bit. I needed that extra kind of sleep, as well as, you know, going to bed about 10:30, getting up at 4:30. It's not a lot of time in bed at night, so I need to kind of extend that when I get home from the gym, take a little nap, hour or two. Well, preferably half an hour or an hour. Sometimes if I'm really tired and I feel like I need it, I will have another hour of sleep. I don't mind doing that, I just know it's going to pay off in training and recovery wise. So I'm getting back into that. I've just waffled on about that for quite a long time, so apologies, but I kind of wanted to get that across. I'm trying to get that back into my routine. Obviously as prep comes in now, which I'm just very looking forward to getting stuck into prep again, just because of the whole day and how my day is structured and how my mindset doesn't really change. But I think if anyone's gone through prep before, it does kind of, there's a switch. There is definitely a switch in prep, just because of the things you have to do in the day. They're not more specific, but like, you know, at the moment doing 7,500 steps is nothing. I don't really have to think about it. Cardio is 20 minutes. I don't have to think about that really. When we go to prep, obviously these things get increased, and you kind of have to think about doing 15,000 steps. You know, you have to be aware that you need to get these steps done within your day, work out when you're going to do it, because obviously we all work as well. Well, majority of us work as well whilst following the bodybuilding life. So we need to work around these things and put them into plan, and, you know, training, cardio, steps, obviously meals and stuff. There's not enough. Obviously it gets done. Of course it gets done. I don't go to bed until everything is ticked off, but there's just a little switch I think that goes on in prep, and obviously the mindset does change very slightly, because it's a different phase. You know, your mindset's got to be completely different now in terms of training. You know, where before in the growing phase right now we're looking at strength and building tissue and trying to push the limits in the envelope and stuff. And then when we go into prep, obviously we're trying to still progress through the first half of prep really, well, for as long as possible. Then obviously as body fat gets lower and lower and lower, we need to be a bit more safe with training and just use it as more as a pump and conditioning and holding that weight as much as we can. I would do my very best, and what I did last year is hold my top sets and back offs. I will not let myself take load off the bar unless I'm told to by Luke, which happened last year. I think I was about 6 weeks out, and Luke just mentioned that I needed to kind of step back a bit from training, stop going balls to the wall on my top sets. You know, so I did, and looked a bit more into pump work and dropping my sets by probably under half, just above half, and kind of went on about that way. But you know, I do my very best to kind of hold on to load. I feel like it's necessary in terms of retaining as much muscle mass as possible. So yeah, that's what we're going into. I just waffled on for too long. I'm going to get steps done now. When I have something on my mind, I can't just speak, and it prolongs this video, so apologies, but I'm just trying to get things out of my mind that I'm thinking about, and the whole rest day thing and being productive and making sure that I'm now coming in on rest days is something that I've been thinking about recently. So just thought I'd voice it, put it onto YouTube, as you know, this is all about documenting and documenting my bodybuilding journey. So stay tuned. We are going to be starting, I think I've said this before, but we're going to be starting the Dream Big Series 2 very shortly. I'll probably start it in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Obviously when prep fully starts, when we're about 16 weeks out. So that'll be coming, watch out for that. Last year was good, got some good feedback on it, people enjoyed following along on the journey, and I hope you will this year as well. It's going to be the same, you know, I'm not trying not to miss a beat, document as much as I can, give you as much insight into I can. This is the second prep, it's going to be different, you know, not every prep's the same. We are dealing with a different body at the moment this year, more muscle mass, more size, so prep is going to be slightly different. It would never be exactly the same, because you're always progressing and get better. So we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you take something from this. I'll see you on the next one.